We have uncovered more about what led up to the deadly shooting of a Gwinnett County mother shot to death in her own home. Police say her husband pulled the trigger. We've discovered there was a history of abuse in that relationship, and the victim never pressed charges. CBS 46's Gwinnett County reporter Ashley Thompson asked just how far the legal system can go to protect someone who isn't cooperating.
Just days after Erica Powell was found shot to death, her 5 adult children told cameras they didn't think the Gwinnett County District Attorney's Office did enough to protect her from her husband, Walter Lowe. He faces murder charges.
To Gwinnett County's District Attorney's Office, I called you all for help, and no one listened when I was saying he was going to kill my mother if you guys did not help her.
I took their accusations to Dan Mayfield, the Gwinnett County Chief Assistant District Attorney, who says the office did try to keep the two away from each other, but didn't have much help from Powell.
His previous domestic violence case was still in the courts waiting to be resolved. It's kind of hard to resolve a case when the victim is not cooperative with the prosecution.
I spoke one-on-one with one of Erica Powell's daughters today. She said she doesn't believe the DA's office listened to her mother's silent cries for help, saying Powell was a battered woman with a skewed reality. After his arrest in 2015, I've learned Lowe was released on a $10,000 bond. He was to have no contact with Powell, but at Powell's request, that bond condition was removed.
There was some things in his past that were concerning to us, and so despite the victim's desire to dismiss the case, we felt that to keep her and the community safe that we needed to proceed with prosecution.
Mayfield says moving forward with prosecution, even when a victim doesn't want to, is one way the legal system can protect battered men and women. I spoke one-on-one with Kim Frendeck with the Women's Resource Center to End Domestic Violence. I asked why Powell may have wanted those charges dropped and why she may not have reported more recent abuse.
Certainly, fear will make you put your head down and walk without looking right or left. And because he said that he's going to hurt you, and you believe him because he already did.
I'm confident that any reasonable person, any reasonable prosecutor, given the same facts, would feel confident that they did all they could do in this situation.
But Powell's children frustrated that Lowe was even allowed out of jail.
She was manipulated by someone she thought really cared for her and her family.
In Gwinnett County, Ashley Thompson, CBS 46 News.
Joining us now to talk about domestic violence is Sergeant Katina Biggs and Detective Henry Guest from the DeKalb County Police Department's Domestic Violence Unit. Thank you both for being here. Thank you. We talked a little bit about people not reporting, feeling as though they're not able to report maybe in some cases. How often do you run across that where someone who's being abused doesn't want to prosecute in the case?
Well, it's going to be pretty much about 40% of our cases. Where they'll give us a statement, then change their mind the next day, pretty much after they thought about it. So we run across that a lot. That's why we look for the state to pick it up. And once we get the information we need and know that it was a domestic violence situation that took place in the home, we move forward with the case. Without her wanting to move forward, the state will move forward with the case.
And Sergeant, in these cases, what is it like, certainly, you know, to go to a home and to see a family, because they become victims as well, and I'm sure that takes an emotional toll on officers too.
Yes, when the officers are out there on the scene, they are doing everything they can in order for this female or sometimes male to report it. And with the suspect being there, right there on the scene, we try to separate them so that they can feel free in order to tell us what happened. A lot of times we have to bring them in or separate them in order to do that. And once they are away from them, they open up a little bit, but we have to really prod them to give us the information that we're looking for.
So in a situation where, say, someone is in an abusive relationship, how easy is it to obtain a restraining order or be able to kind of separate from that individual? Is it a long process, a difficult process usually?
No, it's not. It's pretty much they'll take that case number that we give them, go down to the courthouse in Decatur and obtain a TPO that way. If it's ongoing history, which we look up their history and see how many times we've been called out there on a domestic violence situation, and we'll push that TPO. Now, it's up to her to go fill this out,
To follow through.
follow through the whole thing, go to her 3 weeks, they'll set it up for a hearing and to attend that hearing. So the courts won't grant her that TPO.
Yeah. Useful information. Thank you, Sergeant Katina Biggs and Detective Henry Guest. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where domestic violence survivors can get away from their abusers. That's when we wrap up this edition of Public Affairs on Peach.